Hey guys, this is Rick Lee, and this is,
Triple T.
and today we're doing our first show. We're pretty excited about it. What do you think, Terrell?
Yeah, I'm ecstatic. We're doing our top 10 video games of all times. Out of all the games we've ever played, from Game Boy Advance to Super Nintendo to whatever. We're recording from two different locations. I'm currently located in Maryland. Ricardo is in New York City.
Yep.
So maybe we should give you a little background on ourselves. We've been friends for probably well over 7 or 8 years now. 7 years. So we there's a lot of things that we agree on, probably a few we disagree on, but our friendship has led us to want to do this together, in hopes that something great will come out of it.
Yeah.
So
Let's chill.
you go ahead, man, because I don't know what's on your list.
All
I
right.
do have a few ideas.
My number 10 game will have to be Zelda: The Awakening. That was I think if I recall, that was the first Zelda game that was ever on a handheld. And that was my very first Zelda game. But the reason why
Hmm.
I choose this game is because well, this is like I said, this is my first Zelda game, but this is technically my first open world game.
Hmm.
A lot of the Zelda games tend to be open world, and that was my very first one. So it was weird. Like even though I didn't like when I was pretty young when I played the game, so a lot of things I completed in the game, I just figured it out. Because I wasn't really
Hmm.
old enough to really read the dialogue and understand it. Which, by the way, Nintendo, that's gotta go because I mean, I don't, half these games I don't even know how I made it through them because they had dialogue. And Zelda games are not really easy games. I mean, they are now,
Hmm.
but back then they weren't. And it was supposed to be for children. But yeah, so I mean, I made it through majority of the game just figuring things out. So a lot of times I'll be
Hmm.
walking around, I'll just wandering around the world. And I never played a game like that, and that was just so amazing. Like it seemed like I can find secrets everywhere. Because it was an open world game. Even though the game was honestly probably very linear when it came to like the secrets you found and stuff like that, it felt like I could
Hmm.
do anything. Because it was open world, and that's why that game was my number 10.
My number 10
All right.
is Yoshi's Island. I put the GBA joint on here. I know. I did not expect it to get on this list. But I put a small insert here. I tried to write a small sentence for the reason why Yoshi's games are on here.
Okay.
Yoshi's Island for the GBA. It says here that I never really fell in love with Mario games. However, Yoshi took me by surprise. There aren't many games I'm willing to play over and over again,
Hmm.
but I never got tired of playing Yoshi's Island. I've beaten that game several times. And something about the game that I think it's timeless.
I don't know. I never played a Yoshi game. Maybe I played that new one that's coming for the DS. Um,
Yeah, I'm not excited about the new one, but I mean, who knows? Maybe there's something about it that will be surprising. Only thing I don't like about the new one, that's coming out for the 3DS, is that it just doesn't really have enough new to me.
right.
It's called the new Yoshi's Island or whatever freak they call it, but it looks so similar to the previous game. Like it looks like they haven't took time out to really make actual adjustments, actual changes
Right.
to really make the game new for people who played it before. I mean, I don't know. It doesn't really motivate me to want to get it.
My number 9 game is Spiral the Dragon Ripto's Raid. That game was crazy and ridiculous. The game was amazing, man. For the game, it wasn't an open world game. It was stage from stage. Well, each of the worlds were pretty unique. And I don't know, it was just a really fun game. Like I can't. The crazy part about it is like I can't really say what was it about the game that just like wowed me. I think it was the art direction. Um, and the game was fairly challenging. And but I think the thing that caught me with it was okay. It kind of had that Mario 64 effect.
Hmm.
It was kind of open world, but it kind of wasn't. Mario 64 was kind of open world a little bit, and then you jump through little pictures to get to the stages. But in this game, you jump through portals to get to the stages. And
Hmm.
it had the game was great. Like it had its own like atmosphere to it. It was really strange. But yeah, Spiral Dragon, Ripto's Rage, I don't know if you haven't played it. It's only like $5 on the PSN network. Now I thought that was too much at the time. I still think
You
that's
thought
too
it
much.
was too much for them childhood
I was,
memories.
I was like, I was like,
$5 is just
I
it's
was like, they
just
tripping, man.
outrageous.
I don't know what they
How
talking
dare
about.
they? Number 9. Another game I did not expect to make this list is actually Elder Scrolls V Skyrim. Skyrim changed the way I perceived video games. Some of the things that happened was able to do in Skyrim, I didn't think were even possible in video games. Because I was so boxed in by all these other games
Right.
that give you this linear storyline, this linear story path. They don't let you do anything but what the game wants you to do. Skyrim doesn't do that. And it kind of spoiled me because I'm like, wow, this game lets me do whatever I want.
Right.
I can kill the people I'm supposed to be helping, and so yeah, that's why Skyrim's on my list.
My number 8 choice is gonna be actually the Dragon Ball Z Legacy of Goku series from the Game Boy Advance.
Okay.
I played all 3 of them.
All of them except for the first one. That horrible first one. I'm joking.
That first one was lovely because that was the first one. So it's appreciated because it was the first one. But then the second one and the third one kind of took the microphone from them. But the game proved that you can make a game based off a series, and and add your own little things in it, but it still feel good, feel relevant. Because that game obviously had to make up enemies and things like that. But the game, it was a great game, honestly. Even so much to the point where I enjoyed the game so much that if they took the Dragon Ball Z characters out of it and had their own characters, I would still enjoy the game.
Anime games, man, they're tough, man. I love anime, but a lot of times they don't have very good video game adaptations. Right. So it's rare to see that. So that's good. My number 8 one is Kirby All Stars. Number 8.
That game was great.
Kirby is probably my favorite Nintendo character. And this is probably the first game I really fell in love with. Not the first game I played, but it is the first game that I really fell in love with. Like, and kind of pushed the boundaries of what I thought video games could be. So I played a lot of other Kirby games after this one, but none of them can compare to this one. The complexity of the battle system, it allows you to become anything and be anyone. Kirby is everything I love about video games. It tosses you out into the world and tells you to become whatever you want.
Right.
And if all else fails, if you can't beat them, eat them.
If I'm not mistaken, I think Kirby was made by the same guy that made Smash Brothers. In the Kirby All Stars, they had like tons of power ups, and a lot of them were directional attacks. So if you hold up, you'll do a different attack with the same power up. If you hold down, you'll do something different. And so so when the guy went and made Smash Brothers, I think he probably just transferred that play style that was used for Kirby into Smash Brothers, and that's how we got Super Smash Brothers the way it is now.
Yeah. So what he's saying is, if you like Super Smash Brothers, and you have not played Kirby All Stars, this is probably the game that inspired that.
Right. My next game is going to be.
Here we go. Finally here. Performance for you. If you know the words, you can join in too. Put your hands together if you wanna clap. As we take you through this monkey rap.
He's a Donkey Kong fan. If you guys don't know, Donkey Kong was his first game. Mr. Triple T in the morning over here. That was his first game. His first game ever. Now, my first game ever was Sonic the Hedgehog, but that's neither here nor there. Everybody knows Sonic has been tripping, so I'm just gonna leave that alone. So, but yes, anyway. But Donkey Kong 64. I think Donkey Kong 64 is my first 3D open world game. And so that's why this game has a special place in my heart. Because I remember on the first stage, I think it was called something Jungle. I can't remember. It's been a while. I've played the game a long time. And I climbed to like the top of this little cliff or mountain or something like that, and I jumped off into this little oasis of water. And like that was the first time I played a game where my stomach actually dropped. while I was playing it, because I felt like I was falling. I was like, oh snap, yo, that was the first time I ever experienced that.
Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles, number 7. For the Nintendo GameCube. Yes, yes, indeed.
Yeah, it was great.
This says Crystal Chronicles. It says the moment you step into Crystal Chronicles, you realize that it's something special. You go on this adventure, developing memories with people, which at first seem completely irrelevant, but your memories later becomes a very powerful weapon. So what I mean by memories is that, yeah, there are moments in the game when you meet people on the side of the road, you'll have random little conversations with them, and there are different events in the game where you get these memories stored. And you don't really understand the importance of it until the end of the game because you have to use your memories that you've collected to defeat the final boss. And so these memories are very important in the game, but you don't realize it until you get to the end of it. So you start to see all these different things come up of events that you have experienced. All these people that have motivated you and encouraged you are now their voice are coming to you to help you come and overcome this final task in your life. It was technically my guess would have to be my very first Final Fantasy game. When it comes to Square Enix, they don't take shortcuts.
My next game is Sonic Adventure for the original Sonic Adventure Dreamcast one, Sonic Adventure DX, whatever one you want to choose. They put it at the same game. I chose that game because, like I told you guys before, Sonic is my favorite character. Um, I love Sonic. His more recent games have not been very pleasing, just to say the least. But, but no, Sonic Adventure was a different story, and I think the reason why Sonic Adventure was a good game, and the reason why it had such good reactions to it is because you can feel the excitement of the game developers when they was working on the game. You can feel that they was excited that they can do more. And you can feel that energy in the game. Seeing things from different perspectives, like Sonic ran at walls before in his games, but you didn't really get the full effect of it. I didn't really think about it like that when I was playing the original Sonic game where you run up a wall. I just thought I just thought it was just what Sonic did. But then the first time when I played the game, and so many people out there right now I'm talking about, when you got to the what's the game, Speedy Highway stage, and he started running down the wall, I freaked out. I was like, that was like, that joint blew me away. I was like, it was so hardcore.
Starting with number 6 here is Metroid Prime. Now, I've never really been a big Metroid fan or anything. I never played a Metroid game before this game, but this game did for me. This game did for me what Ricardo said that Sonic Adventure did for him. The Sonic Adventure did for Ricardo introduced him to a new era of video games. It's a transformation where you just went from playing a Super Nintendo game and picking up a new system. And you're like, what the freak is this? Like, you're introduced to something you didn't even know was out there. And that's kind of how I felt when I got Metroid Prime. I asked for a GameCube for Christmas, and when I finally got one, this was the game that came with it. It wasn't the game I asked for, but I didn't know what to expect with the game. So everything was a surprise to me. And, I might have seen commercials for the new games, but once you're playing it, it's a different experience. Metroid Prime single-handedly ushered me into a new era of video games. And that was a terrifying but welcome change.
I'm going to say Pokemon Yellow for number 5. Pokemon Yellow, first of all, I've never played any game like this. This is my first game. I don't know how I even got this game. I never picked it out. I didn't know nothing about Pokemon. I think my mom must have somehow found out that's what kids were playing.
And then it ruined your life.
It did. in many ways. Everything about Pokemon Yellow was new to me. It was a breathtaking experience. I felt like I was on a journey. I felt like I was I remember I even went to school and bragged about it one time. I think I was at gym class, and our gym teacher asked everybody, what is something that you accomplished that you're really proud of? And I said, I said that I was really proud that I got my 3rd badge or something in Pokemon, and and I said that, it sounds kind of a little socially awkward kid type of thing, but
no, that's good. Yeah. My number 5 pick, I choose Kingdom Hearts Birth by Sleep. And that reason is because, to me, it's the first some Final Fantasy, but first Kingdom Hearts game that I really begin to get emotionally connected with. Like, all the other ones were nice and they're pretty and they glisten, but this one gave all the characters a backstory. It gave them a history, and it gave the story some substance. It kind of made it made sense. It made sense of things that were kind of confusing to me in the other games. I just thought it finally started to tie some of those loose knots. This is truly my favorite Kingdom Hearts game. I did write something here. It says, it goes without saying that I am a Kingdom Hearts fanboy. However, Birth by Sleep was the first Kingdom Hearts game that I truly connected with me on an emotional level. It tells the story of how everything began in the form of a cinematic masterpiece. I love how everything is put together. I mean, this game is just phenomenal. I mean, a lot of people missed it because it was PSP, and not only was on the PSP, it was restricted to a retail release, so you had to get the box version. So even if you have a PSP or a Vita, it's not in the PlayStation Store, so you can't just download it. You have to get that box copy, and then you have to get a PSP. So fortunately, they are making an HD version, so everybody that didn't get a chance to experience is going to get an opportunity to do so.
My number 4 choice is gonna have to be uh, Pokemon Crystal.
Oh.
I know, it's bad.
Right after Pokemon, yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah.
So why Pokemon Crystal? What makes Pokemon Crystal? This is a real question. What makes Pokemon Crystal better than Pokemon Yellow?
Right.
This is a game that introduced you to Pokemon.
Yeah, this game. The reason why this game was really renowned for me is because this game, it felt like you don't see it very often. You don't see games feel like an upgrade when they come out with a sequel. Sometimes they'll make slight differences and call it a sequel. But this game had a major overhaul difference. Because in Pokemon Crystal, if I'm not mistaken, when the Pokemon came out of the Pokeballs, they would do like a little animation, and then go back to the little frozen stance. They introduced the breeding system, and then they even introduced this is the first time they had a lot of first time introductions with this game. They even introduced you was able to see your experience bar. And that's why I don't think he's able to see the experience bar in the older ones.
My number 4. This one is very dear to my heart. Is Resident Evil 0 for the Nintendo GameCube. Alright. What I have here is that Resident Evil 0 introduced me to a genre I was always intimidated by, which was horror games.
Okay.
The game used fear and sacrifice as a motivation to compel you to move forward, which in turn allowed me to feel a new level of emergence that I had never felt before in a video game. So, I was terrified. I don't like scary movies, let alone like a scary game. So, I remember seeing somebody in the store play the game, and it just looked so new. I've heard of Resident Evil before, but I never played any games for myself. And this game just looked like what I was in the feeling, what I was in the mood for. So I went ahead and I purchased the game the very same day. It wasn't like brand new. It was probably had been out for a couple of years, but this is the one I wanted to play. So I took it home and I experienced it in every corner. I had to muster up the strength to go around the next corner because, it was a game that kind of involved risk and strategy because because it was scary at the same time.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, the game was kind of creepy. Most people won't consider these games scary, and it's probably not as bad as Silent Hill. I've also played Silent Hill, but to me, it was something about that game. Like, when I started the game, I did not think I was going to be able to complete it.
Right.
I just wanted to see how far I was going. Once I beat the game, the sense of accomplishment I felt was on a different level.
My number 3 game is Fire Emblem Awakening for the 3DS. The thing that caught my attention about the game that I never knew is that when besides the main characters, when your characters die, they're dead for good. They get that game a whole other sense of like urgency, strategy. Because you'll be trying to think of ways to keep your people alive, and then when you have a character that gets stuck in a sticky situation where he's surrounded by a bunch of enemies, you try to think of ways to get them to lure the enemies away. And sometimes most of the time it never works. Once your character's surrounded, they surrounded or stuck in the corner. Most of the time it never works, but occasionally something happens where somehow your I don't know the character your weakest character lived through all the attacks, but your strongest character one that dies somehow. Sometimes that happens. You know,
That is true.
but yeah, it's I don't know. Fire Emblem is great. It's very it's unforgiving, but based on things I hear about other games, there are other games that are even worse, even less forgiving than Fire Emblem. But that game was good, honestly. And I love that game. So that was my first Fire Emblem, like I said, and I'm definitely now a fan of Fire Emblem. And I'm looking forward to seeing what they're going to do next.
Number 3 is Dragon Ball Z Legendary Super Warriors for the Game Boy Color. Yes, it is a phenomenal game. It is probably, I play a lot of RPGs, and this is probably one of the best RPG games I've ever played. It's actually a card-based RPG. It's turn-based, but basically cards are what you use to symbolize your attacks, whether it's punch and a kick or whatever, using an energy beam. Everybody knows what Dragon Ball Z is. I mean, that name is usually associated with terrible games, but this one, trust me, is something completely different. It's just a really unique strategy RPG. The way that it works, especially because most RPGs only give you an attack phase, but this one gives you an attack phase and a defense phase.
Right.
So when your opponent is doing an attack, you have to decide what decision you're going to make, where your placement is on the map. So you have to decide whether or not you're going to be, whether you should be in the air, whether you should be on the ground, what you have to do to dodge and avoid their technique. You have to be prepared for these things. You got to decide, like, blocking, dodging. You got to make these decisions because these cards that you get, the reason why they're cards is because you can't continuously do a same move, Once you spend that card, it's gone, then you have to get a new one. So you might have blocked the last attack, but there's no guarantee you're going to be able to block the next one. So you might have dodged that last joint, but the last energy beam, but because you use your dodge, there's no guarantee you're going to get another dodge card. This is how I know this is a good game, is because if you take away the Dragon Ball Z title, it's still a good game.
My number 2 game is going to be, drumroll please, Super Smash Bros. Melee. I think it was my first. It was my first party game I ever played. So I think when a good experience comes from a game that gives you a lot of firsts, and which in turn is the reason why I enjoyed Fire Emblem so much because it gave me a first, So any game you really enjoy the most is because it gave you a first something,
Yeah, I agree with that. But number 2 is Dark Souls for me. I just played this game probably about 3 or 4 weeks ago, and that's why I feel like it's kind of cheating this way up on the second list because it's so recent for me. But it's one of my favorite games. It has to be because of how many different ways it's introduced new ways of gaming to me and new respect for video games and in general. I wrote something here. I'm going to read it. It says. The feeling you get of mystery and wonder when you step foot into a new adventure. Well, Dark Souls stabs that in the back with a sword and replaces your curiosity for adventure with fear and terror. Every decision involves risk and potential loss, as well as consequence for the choices you make and even don't make, just like real life. There were a lot of times where I was treating Dark Souls like a game. You can't treat Dark Souls like a game. You gotta treat like every moment of that game like it's life. Because I expect certain things like when you strike somebody with a sword in a narrow corridor, you would just expect the sword to go through the wall and hit the person, just like in every other video game.
Right.
No. That sword is going to bounce off that wall just like it would if you were holding it in real life. It's going to so you have to take into consideration your environment. It's just like the game feels like it's alive.
Right.
When you're playing this game, the level design is just so smart. It's so intelligent. I know I'm rambling about this game, but there's this part where you step into this place called Anor Londo, and it's like a city or like a giant castle. And when you first step into the game, you step off the stairwell, you can see the entire city from that place where you're standing at, and you don't know it when you first step off, but every place that you see, you can actually go to, and that you can from the top of the castle down the stairwells into like you're going to be able to go through that entire castle. You don't even know it when you step out. You just think it's a pretty picture. You don't realize that that's the level that you're about to experience.
My number one game choice is The Legend of Zelda: Wind Waker. First of all, the battle system was great. You know that was the first time you actually felt like you were cool when you were fighting. And not for that time, the battle system was pretty basic, you know. But this one, you was able to parry and roll on the ground and slice them in the back and stuff. You know, you was able to do some crazy stuff. The battle system was great. The world was gorgeous. Once you got that boat, you felt like you can go anywhere.
That's good. That's great. I mean, I played that game too, so I agree with you 100%. You know, it is the only Zelda game I ever beaten. It is the only Zelda game I ever really thoroughly enjoyed. So it's great. So I don't know if you're gonna be able to guess this joint, but nevertheless, my number one best game I ever played. So here it goes. This is truly the greatest game I've ever played, but not entirely because of the game. It's the characters and the way the game introduces you to these strangers, then rips away layers of who you believe these people really are to reveal secrets that they didn't want you to find. But this only strengthens your friendships and trust. There are actual moments in my real life I would wake up and try to call Chie to see if she was busy or free to hang out. These fictional characters actually became real friends to me. And this game is Persona 4 Golden. I just did not know that there was a game that could really answer everything I could look for in one video game. Could be in a complete package like this. They don't just introduce you to who these characters are. They tell you about their problems, their secrets, their issues. And just like in real life, you know, the more you find out about somebody, the more connected and more close you feel to that person.
But yeah, guys, you know that's the top 10. You know, let us know what you think. I did want to post a question before we wrapped everything up. And
before you get to the question, though, I do want to thoroughly thank you all, because I'm not sure how long this video is going to be once it's finished. But if you have made it this far, you are a trooper. You get to star right by your nameplate there. We want to do more of these videos. Maybe not necessarily top 10s. This top 10 was a little long-winded, I must say. But we're going to try to see if we can find some other topics. We want you guys to give us ideas, suggestions for things you want to see. We're going to be predominantly a video game channel. So if you got suggestions, make sure it's kind of in those boundaries. I mean, it could be something related to anime maybe, but we're kind of just like trying to keep a focus on what we're targeting here. But it's pop culture, video games maybe. I mean, movies or anything, you know, things in that nature. So send me suggestions. We're welcome to hear them. Once again, we want to say we definitely appreciate you for spending time to listen to our top 10, which became like a top 20 or something, because we both voiced our different opinions on different games.
Yeah.
Top 1,000.
Right.
But you know, we're new at this. We plan on uploading a lot more videos. So hopefully, if you guys enjoyed this, there'll be more to look forward to.
Yeah.
So Ricardo has a question of the week, and you know, if just post your comments, your questions, I guess, in the comments below, and you know, we'll address it in the next episode. Hopefully. Yeah. Hopefully we get some comments, or at least a like.
I know, right?
One thumb would be nice.
And one thing, guys, we really we want this to be a show that you guys are kind of in charge of, not just us. You know, we want you guys to be in charge as well. So tell us what you always wanted from shows like this. You know, tell us those things that you always wanted to do, and we'll let you know if we can do them or not, or we'll try our best to do it, and with the limited resources that we have. until we can get better. He says, you know, just let us know what you guys want, and yeah, and remember, we want the show to be a friendly show too, you know. So so your suggestions we're open to all suggestions. Just make sure there's nothing crazy. You know?
So what was your question? It'll be just reiterate it because I'm not sure if everybody understands.
Oh yeah, but the question of the week is, what do you think? What genre of games do you think is going to take precedence in this new console generation? Like I said, in the 360, PlayStation 3 era, it was first-person shooters. The Nintendo 64 era and PlayStation era, it was platformers. You know, so there's a pattern to these games, to these type of games, and I know PlayStation 2 had a lot of RPGs. You know, so that's the question. What genre of video games do you think might take precedence in this new console generation? And that's it, guys. This is our first
Thank
episode.
you for tuning in to
Rick Lee
and Triple T, the show. I guess we're still trying to come up with a name, so it's a little rough on the edges. If you got any suggestions for that, we're gonna we're welcome to take that as well. But thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. Hopefully this video in its finalized phase will not be as long as it took for us to actually record it once we edit it and stuff. So we're looking forward to getting some feedback from you guys. So thank you again.
Goodbye.
And good night.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.